I'm Abby.
And I'm Uchenna.
And this is Shine Your Eye, a podcast about the good and the wahala, here at home, back home, and around the world.
So join us as we inform, inspire, and enlighten all that shines bright in our community. Hey!
Hey, Uchenna, how are you?
I am here.
That's the realist.
Yes. Usually I'd be like, I'm good, but I'm here. Okay. And I'm thankful to the Lord that I am here.
Me too.
This is some crazy times. But...
Yes, I'm here too. I am not rested. I am all over the place. So yes, I'm grateful to be here. That's what I am.
Yes, we're gonna leave it like that because I am the same. It's a crazy week, but I feel like there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and it's not a train.
That's funny.
I feel for me, in about 3 days, I'll be better. I'll be able to breathe again, as Tony Braxton would say. But
breathe again.
Right now, your girl's just barely making
We
it.
We're
here, and we're glad to be here.
Yes.
Glad to see you.
You too. Always.
So, yeah.
Anything notable this week? Anything you remember?
As in, because I don't want to share.
Good?
I don't want to share my shitty moments.
Okay, no, we don't have a shitty moments segments.
No, we don't. But
it's okay.
I can fill it up like. I'm not gonna share that. But
okay. Well, on that note, today it's time for Wednesday Wahala.
It is. It is my favorite segment.
Yes. And this one is for anybody who has ever said, I'm good. I only had 2 drinks before sliding behind the wheel.
Okay.
So today we're talking about DWI, which stands for driving while intoxicated, or DUI, driving under the influence.
Okay. And
what to do if you get pulled over in Texas after drinking.
Okay, I think this will be helpful to many, unfortunately.
Yes. And we're going to talk a little bit about this, but I feel like many people think that this doesn't apply to them. Like they would never, it could never be them.
Okay.
But I think it happens in our community enough. And when I say it happens, I mean that people go out, drink, get behind the wheel, and get stopped.
Yes.
So
we are a party celebration culture.
Yes.
And alcohol is typically a part of it, unless it's some religious reasons, but sometimes that doesn't matter.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
So let me paint the scene. You've gone out in Houston.
Yes.
You're in town, and I know you live in town, so we're not talking about you.
Okay.
But you're in town, and you've had a few drinks.
Okay.
You get in the car to go home to Richmond or Pearland or the Woodlands.
Or Katy.
Exactly. Or any one of the suburbs that's at least 30 minutes away.
Okay.
You're going, and whoa, flashing lights in the rearview mirror. Mm-hmm. So what are your rights in Texas? Do you know?
I've heard that you don't have to take the breathalyzer.
Okay.
I've heard that. And I've also heard just shut up.
Okay. See, you are informed.
But when you're drinking, sometimes the opposite.
Right? Well, opposite, actually. Okay, so before we talk about what you should and shouldn't do, I did want to talk about how frequently this happens and why.
Good. Okay.
So in this day and age where Uber and Lyft exist, and we know drinking and driving is wrong.
Correct.
Why do people still do it? What do you think?
Underestimate the amount of inebriation that we are under.
Okay.
And kind of feel like, and maybe alcohol gives you that invincible feeling. Right. Those are my 2 thoughts.
Okay. For me, maybe I like money too much, but I always think about the Uber and how much it's going to cost.
True.
Especially when you live in Richmond or the Woodlands.
True. And that surge pricing. Depending on where you're coming from.
And how many drivers are out there.
Correct.
So that's first and foremost. And I think you're right. I think that we think we're invincible. I have people who, they could drink a whole bottle and think that they're good because they think that their tolerance is that much, because they've drunk so much. And, we're not going to talk this episode about how the Surgeon General said that alcohol causes cancer.
Yes, I had a talk about that recently, that this past generations had the most, were the most drinker. Excuse me, they drunk the most, and so they noticed a longitudinal study and cancer and Gen X.
Okay.
Yeah, that they were, they drunk a lot, and so they noticed that an increase of cancer. So yes, some free radicals releasing and all that. It's true. Sorry to.
Yeah, I mean, there's studies.
Yeah,
I ain't a doctor, but it's a fact. So we're not going to talk about that. I mean, we have a culture, many of us, that the spirits are flowing at our gatherings, and we have many gatherings, and then we think that, oh, we good because I drink all the time.
Exactly.
So there's that. Also, I think that men, there's some hubris probably about, like, I can do this, I'll drive.
Right.
You don't drive. Like, I actually remember I dated a person in college.
Okay.
And he was in the military. And this is no shade to anyone that's been in the military.
Okay.
Thank you for your service.
Yes.
But he drank like a sailor.
It comes from somewhere, right?
Right. They say that for a reason. He drank like a sailor. His friends drunk like sailors. And then we would go out and they like, I'm good. I could drive. There was one time because, I'm safety conscious and I have been since grade school. I was like, you're not driving me. You can leave by yourself or you can give me the keys because you're not driving me.
Right.
And that was hard to do. And he was mad at me, but gave me the keys because I wasn't leaving if he didn't let me drive. But men I think, oftentimes are like, I'll drive.
Right.
No, because I'm the man and I'm in charge of our safety, et cetera. But you are in charge of the safety, and you really should think about what happens if you're not good.
Exactly.
So, I think we talked a little bit about pride. We talked about money. We talked about convenience. And yes, people think that they're fine. So DUI, DWI is not about whether you feel fine, though. It's about whether the officer or the breathalyzer say that you're impaired.
Okay.
So in Texas, a DWI is a criminal offense. Here's a breakdown of what the law says, what counts as a DWI and what the penalties are, because I don't think that most of us know. I think that sometimes people think, oh, I'll just pay the fine and it'll be fine.
It'll be fine. Okay.
But a person commits a DWI if the person is intoxicated while operating a motor vehicle in a public place.
Interesting. Okay.
Yes. So, in law school, we talk about like construction of the law and how every word means something.
Okay.
So here it says while operating a motor vehicle.
Okay.
It does not say while driving a motor vehicle. So you can be charged with and maybe even convicted of driving while intoxicated if you are behind the wheel. If you turn on the car.
Just turning on the car. I
Yes.
did not know that.
Not driving from place to place.
Wow.
And officers can arrest you if they think that you're driving while impaired, while under the influence, even if they don't witness you driving. So if they come upon you and you're in the driver's seat and the car is on, then they can take you in if they think that you're impaired.
Question. Is it just alcohol? What if I take some medication and I'm impaired?
That's a
or
good
appear to be impaired.
Right. So that's a good question. Intoxicated under the law says blood alcohol concentration of 0.08% or higher. So we're talking about alcohol.
Okay.
I think I'm not a criminal lawyer, so I looked this stuff up in preparation for today, but there's got to be other laws about drugs. And I would imagine that those laws are mostly about illegal drugs. But yeah, it'd be interesting if you had a bad reaction to a legal drug and you were, they would take your blood and see what your blood alcohol content is.
Hopefully it would be zero.
Exactly.
But that's
and maybe you'd have an excuse.
Right. Okay. Anyway.
So intoxicated means that with the BAC, not having the normal use of your mental or physical facilities due to the combination of or consumption of alcohol, a controlled substance, drug, or any combination thereof. So that also kind of talks to what you said.
Okay.
So even if your BAC is below 0.08%, you can still be arrested and charged if the officer believes that you're impaired, like we talked about.
Okay.
So here's what you're looking at if you get a first offense in Texas.
Okay.
A fine of up to $2,000.
Much more expensive than an Uber typically.
Yes, this is very true.
Yes.
And much more expensive than a speeding ticket or a parking ticket. Like it's not the same. It's not on the same level. These are typically Class B misdemeanors as opposed to Class C misdemeanors, which is what a regular like traffic ticket is.
Okay.
You could have your license suspended for up to 1 year for your first offense. Jail time from 3 days to 180 days. And that's jail time after a conviction. We're not talking about when they arrest you because you're drunk and you're driving.
Okay.
Because you might be in there for 24 hours, 48 hours, depends. Attorney's fees, $3,000 to $10,000 easily, depending on who you hire. They tow your car. So if there's not anyone that is not under the influence to drive your car, they love to tow your car.
Right. And those daily fees.
Yes.
Also. Okay.
That's another $200 to $500. Your insurance can increase.
Okay.
$1,000 per year for at least 3 years.
Okay.
And then court fees, alcohol education costs, probation costs, if that's what you get. So when you add it all up, you're looking at like $5,000 to $15,000.
That's crazy over a couple of drinks.
Yes, I'm good.
Right.
And a couple of drinks is usually not what it is.
That's what they say.
It's usually more. People are usually drinking more. I mean, what's the most you've had at one shindig?
I will say I'm not the biggest drinker.
Me either.
I just like juice. And so I'm not the biggest drinker. But, occasionally I'm typically at a 2-drink limit. Unless I'm with someone, I may go a little bit more. But I'm not the biggest alcohol person. I'm a social drinker, and that's rarely. How about you?
I'm usually a one drink person.
Maybe we're not the best.
We're not, and we're not judging. I'm not judging.
No.
But yeah, I don't drink too much. I'll occasionally have two, but you know how I feel about alcohol. I feel like it ruins my sleep, so I don't drink it that much. So then the penalties go up for recurrences. So if you get a second DWI, etc., that can include more jail time, your license being suspended, and even an ignition interlock device.
Oh, I've seen those on television.
So not in real life. Good.
Yes, not in real life.
But yeah, this is that thing you have to blow into before you can start your car,
I've
which is like the epitome of
embarrassment.
Yes. And infringing on my personal rights. And if there's an open container in the car,
okay,
then minimum jail time increases to 6 days, and it just goes higher, the infraction. So you said earlier you can refuse.
That's what I was told.
Yes.
Okay.
So you can refuse the field sobriety test.
Okay.
So the stupidness that
the one
is,
when you,
yes,
you're counting
ABC,
backwards and all that stuff. Okay.
Yes, you can do that, but a breathalyzer or a blood alcohol blood test. If you refuse,
yes,
then they can go get a warrant, number one.
Okay.
And number two, you could have your license suspended.
So you have to pick your poison?
Yes.
Okay.
And we'll talk about, in a second, we'll do some role playing and see what we should respond to the officer with if we're asked.
You know what, Abby? I just remembered something. In my younger days, I think one time I had too much to drink, and I was heading home. I think I just graduated from undergrad. A little bit after that, I was driving home. A police pulled over to me, like to the side of me. He told me to roll down my windows, and if he would have like stopped me, I probably would have had a record at this time. And he said, "You're going too fast. Do you want me to pull you over?" I said, "No, thank you." And
That's
he said,
that
okay.
female privilege right there.
I said, no, thank you. He said, "Okay, slow down." And he kept on going. And he was a black officer. Maybe that's
was this?
This was in Houston heading, but at the time I had just moved back from Austin. So I was headed back to my mom's house. So kind of like southeast side of town of Houston.
Wow.
But yeah, so that
God was watching you.
Yeah, God was watching me. That was my one and only time. So I was scared straight. So I do have a semi experience, but that was like that's been so long ago. So anyway, yeah.
Wow. Like we said, no judgment. But if you're going to drink, you should plan ahead. So that means take an Uber.
Right.
Or a Lyft. Or designate a driver.
Yeah.
Have somebody who's going to drink less, maybe not at all.
Exactly.
And they drive. If it's a house party, bring a pillow. Sleep on the couch.
Sleep on the couch, yes.
And if you didn't plan to drink and you still feel buzzed, just, stay put until you're not anymore. And that might take longer than you might even think.
True.
It's not as quick as, let me go pee. Because a lot of people think, I'm just going to drink water. If I pee, it'll come out of my system.
That's what I've always thought. So that's not true. If I drink some water.
I have too, but I think the same. And I think it is responsible to, have a drink, have a water.
Right.
Have a drink, have a water. But I don't think the chemistry works that simply. That if you pee out the amount that you drank, it's no longer in your blood.
Right.
No.
I hear you.
So it probably takes a little longer than we think.
Oh, gosh.
All right. So as we come upon the 5th anniversary of the George Floyd murder and the racial reckoning of 2020, you also just don't want the interaction with the police.
True.
And you don't want to be in the jailhouse.
Right.
Because that was Sandra Bland. I don't think she should have been there.
Yeah.
And then things happened that we may never really know.
You're making yourself vulnerable to things.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. So I think that this is something we should all talk to our peoples about, our siblings, our parents. My parents don't really drink that much, but some people's parents do.
Yes.
All of your loved ones. All right, so let's do a quick role play.
Okay. I'm ready for my Oscar-winning performance.
Yes. You're going to be the one being pulled over.
Oh.
And I will narrate / be the officer.
Okay.
So picture this. It's 2:15 a.m. You're driving home from a party at a club in Houston. Blue and red lights come on behind you. You pull over.
Okay.
So here's what that stop could sound like and how you should answer to protect your rights. So I'm the officer. Good evening. Do you know why I pulled you over?
No, officer. Could you tell me why?
I noticed you were swerving a bit. Have you had anything to drink tonight?
I choose to remain silent and would like to speak with an attorney.
Boom. That's it. You don't have to lie, right? Like, don't lie. But you also don't have to answer the officer's question. He asked, have you had anything to drink tonight? Don't say, yeah, actually, because you're incriminating yourself.
Interesting.
But maybe don't also say, no, I haven't, because then you'd be lying. And you don't need to tell him that. So just be like, I choose to remain silent. Or on advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer your question.
Will I remember all of that?
Right.
I respectfully decline to answer your question.
Yes. And calmly, right? I mean, so, yes.
Okay. What if I'm just like an intentional troublemaker and I haven't had anything to drink, but I mean, will that attract more attention to me if I'm just like, I decline to answer?
So yes, I think so. But I'm actually that person. Thankfully, I haven't gotten stopped in a while. And I actually think post-pandemic, they're not stopping us as much. I think it's all of the discussions we had about policing and all of that. I think that police departments are not placing as much emphasis on like speeding and those types of things. But or maybe I'm just not driving enough because I work from home. But I haven't been stopped.
Right.
But like, especially when I was in law school and thereafter, I'm like, I know my rights. So like, they stopped me and I'm like, they're like, do you know why I stopped you? No. Here's my license and my registration. Like, can we get on with this?
Okay.
Right. Now, I'm a woman, a Black woman, but a woman. I think we have greater flexibility on this.
Agreed.
Because men could say the same thing and they'll be like, you're giving me,
attacking me,
yes,
my manhood, all that kind of stuff.
Get out of the car.
Right. Okay.
And whether they should do what they do, they can do a lot because they have the gun and we don't.
Exactly.
At least I don't.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's keep going because obviously the officer's not done yet. Where are you coming from?
I prefer not to answer any questions without legal counsel.
Can you step out and perform a field sobriety test for me?
I respectfully decline to take any test without speaking to my attorney.
All right. So you can refuse the roadside tests.
Okay.
The walking in a straight line, like we talked about, the ABCs backwards. But you might get arrested anyway, like we talked about.
Okay.
Texas is an implied consent state, which means if you drive, you're basically agreeing to submit to testing if you're lawfully arrested.
Okay. Can you say that one more time for the people in the back?
Texas is an implied consent state.
Okay.
So if you're driving, it's kind of implied that you basically agree to submit to testing if you're lawfully arrested. So
Interesting.
if you get arrested, they're going to test you.
Okay.
Whether you say, yes, I agree or not. But they may need to go get a warrant.
That could take some time.
That could take some time.
Will you still be like in your car, or will they take you?
They often will take you to the jail.
Got you.
You'll be waiting in the jail.
For the warrant.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's not quick getting out of the jail, like 12, 24 hours. Like, it's not like this.
And then especially if it's a holiday weekend.
Or a weekend at all.
Okay.
Yep.
Think about that.
Yes. The field sobriety test, like we said, is different from a chemical test, like a breathalyzer or blood test that you take after arrest. So, yeah, that's what you should say if you're stopped by the police. Again, keep your hands where they're visible.
Okay.
You should have, and men especially, should have their license and I don't know why I said registration. Really, it's insurance.
Insurance, right.
Like readily accessible.
Okay.
And be ready to give that over. Stay calm. No need to escalate it for no reason. Answer the questions, but your answer can be that respectfully, I'm not going to answer that question on advice of counsel. And I'd really like to talk to a lawyer if you're going to continue to ask me questions. And then if you're asked to get out of the car, you can always ask, am I being detained? Am I free to leave? Because sometimes they'll ask you to get out of the car and they haven't arrested you. And asking them that question might remind them that they have nothing and that they should let you leave. Now, it could also be like, yes, actually, you're under arrest. So there's always that.
Right.
But you avoid this entire thing altogether, hopefully, if you're not under the influence at all.
Right, at all.
While driving or noticeably. So.
Okay. So if we're unsure what to say to a police officer, say nothing.
Right. I mean,
or
don't just be mum.
Right.
But yes, reveal nothing.
Reveal nothing and ask to speak to your attorney. What if you don't have one? Because I was hear that. Like, I was watching, I'm exposing myself, but I like to watch, not Netflix, I'm sorry, TikTok. And these, what do they call, like, undercover police stuff or the police badge. Not police badge, but what's it called? The
Body cam.
Body cam, that's right. And there was this woman in a like motel with like 4 or 5 different men. You knew what was about to happen, and she's like, "I don't want to say anything. I want to talk to my attorney." And I was like, "Does this girl really have an attorney?" So anyway,
But
everyone just like when they say that, do you people really have an attorney like that?
She probably doesn't have an attorney, but you're allowed to have an attorney. So
okay,
what is the rule? You're allowed in a criminal case, like not a civil case, but in a criminal case, you are entitled to an attorney if you cannot afford one.
Okay.
They will appoint one to you in court or in
so that
jail.
could be my court appointed attorney.
Yes.
That I don't know who is. At
Yeah.
this point. Great. Okay.
And they have professional responsibility requirements to advocate for you to the best of their ability, so you can trust them. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, you got to make below a certain amount for them to give you a court-appointed attorney. So millionaires can't be out here saying, I just want the free one, please. But yeah.
Understood.
That's who she's referring to, her court-appointed one. She's been paying attention to the TikToks.
Yes. Good to know. Good to know.
Absolutely. So that's our Wahala for today. And it's a word for the wise. We talked on a past episode about Ray. And he was killed by a drunk driver.
Correct, yeah.
And it happens all the time. And we don't want to be the ones behind the wheel. We don't want to be the ones that change somebody else's life or our own life, because sometimes the drunk driver kills themselves. It's just not very often. They usually hurt somebody else.
Yes, exactly. So, yeah. Thanks for that. Wednesday Wahala. A praise report. Hallelujah, hallelujah. So, this week on our praise report, we're celebrating the dynamic and trailblazing Chinny Ogwumike, known for her prowess on the basketball court as a WNBA All-Star and her insightful commentary as an ESPN analyst. Chinny has recently expanded her influence by launching her own production company called Victorious. Victorious is a woman-focused production company that aims to spotlight authentic stories, particularly those of women in sports. This inaugural project, called The W, is a scripted comedy series centered around the WNBA and has been picked up by Peacock.
Uh-oh.
Yes, the series promises to offer a fresh and humorous perspective on the lives of professional female basketball players, a narrative that's often overlooked by mainstream media.
Now, I have a question.
Okay.
So we know our girl Perlina is over there at Peacock. So she might be looking out for our girl, our other girl.
Yes, we spotlighted her a couple seasons, shows ago. Correct. Yep. Yeah.
And then also, the WNBA has had like a reinvigoration, right?
It's like last year.
Was it last year?
Yeah.
Okay. So is that why the new show? Because maybe there'll be some renewed interest into the WNBA behind the scenes.
So, and I think so. And the pay has increased. There's been a lot more attention.
Okay.
So I think it's a good time. It's a good time to get on that wave. It seems like it's a good thing to do. Chinny's venture into production is a testament to her commitment to amplifying women's voices and experiences by creating content that resonates with authenticity and empowerment. She's not only breaking barriers, but she's also paving the way for future generations of women in sports and media. Nice. And I just wanted to also, for so long, Nigerian parents did not want you to go into sports. Just books. But recently, we're seeing a lot more of these long names entering into sports. And so I'm glad to see there's just more diversity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's give a round of applause for Chinny and her relentless drive, innovation, and dedication to storytelling. And I think she's from the Houston area, from Conroe. So,
nice.
Yeah, so we're glad to see a local girl make it.
Absolutely. I haven't met her before, but she's definitely someone I would love to meet if anyone wants to put that together.
She's a sister also that's
in
the W. Right, okay.
Yes. Oh, her name is escaping me right now. But yes.
Neka. Is it Neka?
I think so.
I think so.
Hey. Y'all tell us in the comments if we're not right. So, hello, sisters.
Yay. Okay, it's time for the What We're Digging segment. My person I'm digging right now is Victoria Monet. I've been digging her for a while, but I think I'm still kind of late to digging her. It was right before she won her first Grammy.
I don't even know Victoria Monet.
Oh, my goodness. She just released a song with Davido off of me. And I have been playing it, not just released it. It's been some time, but it's been on repeat ever since, because we don't know when it's going to air. So I just love that song. So you heard that song, On My Mama. On My Mama.
I feel good.
But she did a song recently. Okay, never mind. Sorry, Victoria, if you ever see this. That really made me stop and wait a minute. And
wait, she was in that song?
She did the remix.
The remix. Okay,
not the remix, but when they every so often a song that's been they kind of redo it for the new generation.
Okay,
so I don't know what that's called, but yeah, she did her own version of it.
That song seems like it's not that old. Oh, my mama, that song is old to be remade?
Why don't you see can we do a quick, hold on, we'll take a little, what was that original song made? Oh, my mama, on my hood. Because I feel.
Mama. On my hood?
I Look Good. That's what it's called. Good. Yeah, 2009.
Wow.
So you just show.
Back to scheduled programming. Why do I feel like I just heard that? So is it Victoria Monet's version that I just heard?
Maybe. Huh. But she sings. It's not like,
Yeah. She's saying, "On my mama."
Not exactly, but we continue. We move.
Okay.
So she's been behind the scenes for years, writing for others and background singing, and I think even some dancing. And so she finally got her, made her way to the top. And so, she's doing well. Like I said, she got an Oscar last year.
Ooh.
And she's has some tours that have been doing very well. And she has a daughter. And she has her own social media presence, and I like seeing her. She recently broke up with a guy. Not recently. I keep saying recently, but she was dating a guy, her trainer, and I keep saying recently. Let me leave that alone. They broke up, and that made some news.
Oh, interesting.
But yeah, so check out Davido and Victoria Monet's "Off of Me" if you haven't heard it yet. I really like the song. It's on repeat, and I just like Victoria Monet. And also, for 2024, she was my most played person. So I decided to go ahead.
Wrapped.
Yes. So I made it say, okay, let me go ahead and give her flowers.
Oh, nice.
And because, Davido, that song is just hot. So if you haven't heard it yet, play it.
Nice. Oh, I forgot to ask. Can she sing?
Very well. Exceptionally. I mean, she's a singer.
I mean, there's some singers that can't sing.
Who? Who now? Who, like someone that's big?
Okay, so y'all let us know in the comments who is a singer/entertainer, woman or male, woman or man, male or female, who actually cannot sing. Put that in the comments because we're going to compare notes.
And especially if you can have someone that's out in the last 2 or 3 years. Because
yes.
I'm thinking about... They were in the back. They came a while ago, and they're not currently up.
But thank you for the musical recommendation. She's definitely getting on my Spotify playlist, and I'm very happy that we were able to give flowers to Chinny Ogwumike. And of course, everybody, don't drink and drive.
Don't drink and drive.
Yeah.
And use your Uber, use your designated driver, and we pray that no one listening, our friends and family, none of that will ever have to be affected by a drunk driver.
Amen.
Amen.
Shine your eye.
You've been listening to the Shine Your Eye podcast, where the gist never ends. If you like this episode, give us a thumbs up on YouTube and subscribe wherever you listen or watch us. And join the family. We'd love to hear from you. Share your thoughts, feedback, and ideas for future episodes by emailing us at shineyoureyepod@gmail.com. or connecting with us on social media at Shine Your Eye Pod.
Till next time, shine your eye, stay sharp, and keep the gist flowing. See you soon on another episode.